is Regina Honu. I'm a trendsetter because I believe in helping women break into male-dominated fields and use science and technology to reach their full potential.
My guest today is a boss in her own right. She has her own tech company. She's been featured on CNN, BBC, and today I have her in the hot seat. You go to impoverished areas. What are some of the things you see or notice or people say that makes you realize, wow, we still have a long way to go?
You don't even have to go to the impoverished areas. That's the sad part, right? So if you're going into an impoverished area, there's a certain mindset that you go into, and you know, like, okay, when you go there, you're going to see tons of poverty, blah blah blah. But even in parts of the capital, or when you go across the regions, the trend, especially in the tech space, you know, a startling discovery that we made was we went to UCC, and I think out of about over 15,000 students in that school, there were only about 60 to 70 women that were studying computer science from first year to fourth year, right? Or you go to places where you know, some girls will say if they study science and technology, they'll go mad. Or you go to places where you know, like, there's this whole thing about what is coding, you know, what does it mean, how does it help, what is technology, what is the value. Generally, when you leave Accra and you go across the regions, even in Accra, you know, you'll see that we still have a long way to go in terms of people understanding that it's about time that we create. You know, I think the general mindset is we are such big consumers that everybody's waiting for something to happen. We're not like, okay, let's take an initiative. Let's create something that the rest of the world uses. We're just waiting for somebody to make something and then we use. So I think it's that dependency syndrome, dependency on either the government, dependency on foreign aid, dependency on volunteers or some people coming to save. But I think we need to break that, where individuals start to feel empowered themselves, where they wake up and go like, how can I solve the problem? Not, okay, who's going to come and help me solve the problem?
So you quit your job and you decided to start from your home with a laptop. Okay, so who was the first person you called and said, yo, I quit my job? Because if I was your friend and you called me, I'll say you're crazy for quitting your job. Did you have something to depend on? Had you already planned?
No, you know, I never recommend this, but
okay.
It was just like, I just quit my job. Like, when I woke up in the morning, I didn't know I was going to quit my job. I went to work as like I usually do, but that day I had this strong feeling that today is the day I must quit. You know, and when I told a couple of my friends at lunchtime, I was like, okay, I want to quit today. They're like, oh, I should wait till the end of the month, and bonus was right around the corner. I should wait till they pay bonuses. But then I thought, you know, there's always going to be something, right? So when I felt that, I prayed because I had no plan. I had no idea what I was going to do. All I knew was that I'm good at developing software and I wanted to do something in that space. At that time, you know, I didn't have a lot of access to role models and mentors who could have guided me. That's also one of the challenges, you know. So had I had that, probably I would have reached out to them, made that call and said, this is what I want to do, and they would have advised me, oh, this is the best way to do it. I just kind of, you know, took the decision. It was like ripping off a bandage, you know. I always say I took a leap of faith. I just said, I'm quitting.
And then you quit. Yeah. Okay, so the fact that you didn't have role models, was that the reason why you started the academy to help young girls and empower them?
Exactly. I mean, for me, the lack of role models, you know, especially female role models, sometimes it seems like you're the only one. So certain challenges that you face, you feel like, oh, am I the one blazing this trail? But no, there are several other women who've done it, and maybe they would be in the best position to even guide and advise you. What happens is that we just keep making the same mistakes because, you know, you don't have access to that. So for me, that's why Techniques Girls started off as a mentorship program. So the girls were actually taught by women in the tech space. So they were already immediately being mentored by women that they were trying to become. Okay. So that already there's that connection. So you see what it is that you're trying to do.
You were the first IT specialist.
Yes, so I was the only female in my department.
Okay, yeah. And how did that feel like?
It was lonely.
So was that why you decided to quit, because it was really annoying?
Well, yes. I mean, let me say, like the first bank I worked in, there's this story I always say. I developed the electronic banking product in that bank, and you know, when it was time for promotion, you know, I knew the promotion was mine because I had worked on it day and night, you know. And so I have my champagne in my fridge. I've already congratulated myself because I know the promotion is definitely mine. So I walk into the room to have this discussion with my superior, who's going to. As soon as I walk in, he just takes one look at me. He's like, "Ah, are you the one coming for the promotion?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Oh, okay, but you're young and you're a lady," you know. And from that, he didn't even give me the benefit of a proper interview. We just closed the book, started talking about some non-fat things, you know, like just asking me general questions. Imagine how that felt, you know, like I had worked so hard, but he was going to discriminate against me because of my gender, and the narrative was that at that point in time the head of a technology department could not be me. I mean, I'm actually bigger now, but I was smaller. I was smaller then, even though I was skilled, and it was relatively new also. So I quit, thinking that it was that bank, that's where the problem is, right? So I went to another bank, and I found that it's a similar problem in different hats. In that other bank, I was the only female in the IT department. It's very lonely. There's something that I always say. For me, one of the things was I had to learn how to work around what I call the male ego. So what that means is that if I'm the only female in an all-male team and there's a problem and I know the solution, I can't say it first. I have to wait till we all come to that point. Because if I'm like me all the time, the problem is then the rest of the guys don't want to work with me, and that's a problem. So realistically, I would have to just keep quiet and wait, you know. And then I had to set certain rules. I'm not the secretary, please remove that. And I don't do tea and coffee. Just because I'm the only female in this team does not mean I'm going to be doing tea and coffee, you know. So I always made sure that I had my place at the table, and it was a solid place. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the token secretary for the group, no. So it was lonely, and you always have to fight and prove yourself. I remember when another superior came in and they introduced me as the software developer. He was like, "Software developer, are you sure you're not playing with Microsoft Word? You're come to say you're doing software development. Do you know what that means?" I was like, okay. So constantly having to prove yourself. And even now, when I walk into certain institutions and I introduce myself as the CEO of a tech company, there's always the 5-second shock reaction. I am never what anybody expects, and I never know what they're expecting. But even now, I'm still like a white elephant, you know, like, oh wow, that I want to reach a point where when I say I'm a software developer, there's no wow at the end. It's something normal because we've seen other female software developers, yeah.
So you also talked about how you had to lie about being in a relationship so people can take you seriously. Is that the notion that if you're not married and you're a feminist, that means you're sad and lonely and you're channeling your anger into being a feminist?
Exactly. You know, sometimes these things, you know, when you hear about them, you think, oh, something that happens in the movies. It cannot really happen in real life. But it's so sad that I have to say this, but that's the truth, you know. Like in my experience, every time I remember there was one session where I spoke at an organization, and the first question when I was done was, "Are you married?" You know, I was like, we talk about marriage? No. I said so many things, A, B, C, D. You could not ask me a question about any of that. The question was about marriage, you know. And like I said, at the point in time, I had to say that I was in a relationship when I wasn't, because I didn't want my story to be negated by parents. They'd be like, see this sad lonely woman, you know, because it was either career or family, not both. And that was, you know, exactly, that's not true. You can have both. It's just that at the time. But in order not to sort of make parents tell their daughters, if you become a software developer, you're not married. Look at this. You look at this woman. She's not married. You know. I had to say that, and well, now I'm married with a kid and all of that. But marriage is such a big thing. And you know, you have some parents that say, if my daughter goes into technology, she's behind the computer all the time, how is she going to find a husband? But now you can find a husband online. So, you know, but those are all the things. But in this part of the world, marriage is a big thing. And there's always, and I remember when I was getting married, it was so strange because, you know, I was just living my life normally, and the messages that I received were like, oh wow, we didn't think you were interested in marriage. And I'm like, why am I not interested in marriage? I never said anywhere that I'm not interested in marriage. Just because I'm chasing my dream, I'm not interested in marriage. And I had people call my mother to go and pray and thank God because, you know, and there was this one time I ran into a friend, and she hugged me and she was like, oh my God, I know that you have been praying and crying about this. God has answered your prayers. I was not praying and crying about anything, you know. So everybody thinks that, you know, career women at the top can't keep families, you know. I mean, there are some, and there are also women that are not career women that can't keep families. In fact, there's that everywhere. So it's unfair to say that just because you choose your career does not mean that you cannot be in a happy, fulfilled relationship. Yeah.
How did you meet your hubby?
Well, it was a very interesting story. So I went to do an interview. Okay. And my hubby was like sitting at the background. He is into film and video production. So he lives in South Africa. He was actually visiting Ghana, and he happened to be at the studio when I was doing the interview. He heard me do the interview. I always say I spotted him and I brought him from South Africa, but he says it's the opposite. It depends on who's telling the story. So after the interview, we got together. The rest is history.
When people see women studying mathematics, women studying science and technology, they think, oh, she doesn't really know how to dress, she doesn't really take care of herself. But we see you with your locks and your red lipstick and everything, and you're the Velisco brand ambassador. First of all, how did that deal come about?
So I was, you know, before I even became the Velisco brand ambassador, I used to pass by the billboard of Velisco because my parents live in Osu, and there's this big billboard next to Kuala. And I always used to think, and then I heard about brand ambassadors, and I used to think, oh wow, it'd be so cool to be the Velisco brand ambassador. But even me, I thought, you know, how are they going to pick me because I'm in tech and all of that. Till I got an email that said I had been nominated as one of the potential candidates to be the ambassador. So they came over, they had a talk, and I was selected as the ambassador. It was really, really, really cool because it was one of the things I was trying to fight. Like, your career does not define you. It's what you do, it's not who you are, right? So you can be anything and do anything, you know. And I really love the fact that I was able to, you know, showcase fashion. So we actually even started this initiative called Style with Code, where we mix fashion and technology, and it really helped. Yeah, it really helped draw lots of women, which was very good. Yeah, so you can be as fashionable as anything. You don't have to be socially awkward. It's a choice. There are different types of women. So your career doesn't define who you are.
What is your personal style? If you had to describe your personal style in 3 words, what would you say?
I think it would be comfortable, quirky, and down to earth.
What would we never catch you wearing?
You never catch me wearing. What won't I ever wear? Too much. Like now at this point in time, I think you won't catch me wearing something that's too revealing because now I'm a mother. I'm trying to dress age appropriate. So now I don't think you'll catch me wearing something too revealing. Yeah.
Okay. What would you want your daughter to learn from you?
I want my daughter to learn that, you know, there's no limit. I don't want her to ever feel that she's limited in any way, shape, or form. And I want her to know that there's nothing wrong in being a strong woman, and there's nothing wrong in chasing after your dreams, and there's nothing wrong in failing. I think that's one of the first things that I want her to learn, that failure is a learning experience.
For anyone trying to go into entrepreneurship, because it's really hard out here, what would be some of the tips you would give them, and what were some of the challenges you also encountered?
So my first tip is, if you can find a mentor, you know, or somebody who can guide you through the process, please do that. I mean, there were so many mistakes that I made along my journey that I wish somebody had directed me or guided me. I didn't have to go through all that. And the second thing is, make sure that you start right. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you have to register, make sure that you're properly registered. Make sure that you keep your books. Don't run the business like it's your savings. You know, don't be just dipping in anyhow. You don't know where your money is. You don't calculate how much profit you're making. You're just doing something. No, you know, even with the little that you have to start early, and you have to make sure that, okay, you are keeping the books, all the monies that you're getting, all the monies that are coming out. You have all your proper registration. You find out, I mean, and start building that solid foundation, because what happens is when a potential investor comes and you're not ready, you're not ready. So you're not able to move your business from a certain stage, because whenever anybody's interested, you don't have all the correct paperwork. And also, I think you have to surround yourself with a good network. One of the things that has really helped me in my journey is my network. Some of the times, the opportunities that come my way, I don't do anything about it, you know. People always ask, also, do you contact media or do you send out emails? How did you get on CNN? How did you get into this fellowship? It's all referrals, somebody who will tell somebody. And I realized that when you're in a certain network, you are privy to certain information. And I realized, wow, you know, when you're not in certain network, you think nothing is happening. There's a lot happening. You know, that's why the rich get richer and the poor stay poor, because there's lack of information going across. And also, I think the last challenge is making sure that you are building a sustainability plan. You know, when you start an idea and it starts to work, sometimes for young entrepreneurs, it's easy to get caught up in the moment and you are just thinking about the now, not about tomorrow. Times change, you know. I remember one day I was asleep, the next day when I woke up, they said that there was withholding tax had gone up to a certain percentage, you know. Anything can happen. So you always have to make sure that as you are thinking about your business, you are building a sustainability plan for tomorrow. What
do you think about the notion that feminism is a bad word? You don't have to be a feminist because it's negative, then you're angry.
So I think it's miscommunication or deliberate communication by those who are against the feminist movement to paint feminists as women who are disrespectful or angry, or you know, or trying to topple down men. Nobody's trying to topple down, or trying to be like a man. Nobody wants to be like a man, you know. I think it's all miscommunication. Like I said, I think the feminist movement is a movement for everybody, men and women. It's just really about making sure that we level the playing field. That's all we're asking for, you know. We're not asking for special favors. We're not asking that, you know, women are handheld or whatever. We're just saying level the playing field. We just want equal opportunity as the men have, and whatever happens, but just that's simple.
Let's talk about how you met the Obamas, from Michelle to Barack to their children. Did you meet their children too?
No, I didn't.
But you met the two of them.
I met the two of them.
What was the feeling like? Obama.
Obama has so much presence. Like when he walked in, you know, when somebody has charisma, I never knew what that meant till I met Obama. Like when he walked in, you felt that somebody has walked in, you know. And when he spoke, like everything that came out of his mouth, you know, you felt like jumping up and shouting amen, you know, shouting yes. Like I think Obama can, you know, like the favorite expression, sell ice to Eskimos. He was like, he really has a presence. And Michelle Obama is graceful, she's beautiful, she's just everything. Like, I mean, when she walked into the room, I thought she glided. Like I didn't even think she walked. I just thought like she was just so graceful. There's just something about her. The two of them are everything and more that the media makes them out to be. They're really amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. That has been another episode of Trendsetters. Keep up to date with your entertainment news on yaasomuah.com. I'm sure you loved the video you just saw. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.